Brothers and sisters of Providence Missionary Baptist Church and our guests all around the world, God bless you and welcome to another installment of Ask Pastor Williams Anything. This week's question is as follows. Pastor Williams, why do we license and ordain women as preachers and deacons and leaders in our church? That's an excellent question. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I am sad that in 2020 I still have to answer this question. Though I am grateful, humbled, and thankful that you thought enough of me to come on and submit the question that you might get an answer, and I surely will answer it. I am sad, I will be honest. I am saddened that we still have to answer this question in 2020. Here's the simple answer. The reason we license and ordain ministers who are women, and the reason why we ordain women as deacons at Providence Missionary Baptist Church is because God called them. It's just that simple. We're not doing anything as members of a church that God has not already done. And all we are doing is making official that which God has already done. You see, the prophet Joel said, "My sons and my daughters will prophesy." In saying that, the Old Testament teaches us that God will call his preacher not by gender, but by faithfulness. And however God desires to call, whomever is faithful enough to serve in the role of the minister, that person needs to be supported, loved, properly trained, and then sent forward to share the gospel. God, we believe, is no respecter of gender in how God is going to call or who God is going to use to share that gospel. God is a respecter of faithfulness because the righteous live by faith. And I pray that in your life you have seen that there are faithful women, there are faithful men, there are faithful persons who don't identify by either gender. Because faithfulness is the identifying mark by which God calls and then God uses. It's the same thing for the ordination of deacons. God is looking for persons who will be faithful to the call on their life to carry out the task of the deacon, just like carrying out the task of the minister. Either way, we're talking about spiritual leadership in God's church. God isn't concerned about your gender when it comes to spiritual leadership. God is concerned about your faithfulness. Will you receive the call of God on your life and will you respond to that call? And here's the second reason. Because God chooses. God makes God's own decisions about whom God is going to use for God's church. My job as the pastor of Providence is to honor that. I don't believe any woman or man or person within Providence Missionary Baptist Church would joke about their relationship with God or not take seriously the call on their life. So when a brother or a sister or person comes to me and says, "Pastor Williams, I believe that I have been called into the ministry," it's not my job to judge or to assess. It's my job to trust. And in that trusting, then I have a responsibility to support this person in whatever they believe God is calling on their life so that the gospel can go forward and the kingdom of God can be expanded. So this is the reason why we license and ordain preachers and ordain deacons. We do it because God called. Because the church needs leadership that will follow the guidance that God, who is our true leader, will place in our hearts. And I believe that those leaders can be male, those leaders can be female, those leaders can be anyone that God so chooses to call. I can't believe that God called me, but yet God did. And in response to that call, anyone who is willing to say yes deserves to be loved and supported and honored for the great privilege of being able to serve the ministry of Jesus Christ. And that ministry isn't concerned about your gender or your sex. That ministry is concerned about your faithfulness. I think that's an excellent question. I thank God for you asking that question. Keep such questions coming that we can keep growing and going together. Providence and guests, I love you all so very much. This is Ask Pastor Williams Anything. God bless you.